So it is the third straight week of PFL action. This week we have got the 170 pounders and of course the women's lightweights. In the main event, I mean, it's cut off on the screen because Kayla Harrison's gonna win. Okay, there. Kayla Harrison's in the main event. She's back in Bellator, or it's not PFL, sorry, she should be in Bellator, but she's back in PFL. And I mean, if you're Kayla Harrison, why wouldn't you keep just making $1 million every year? I'd do it too if I was so much better than the rest of the weight class. And now Julia Budd is here, and maybe Budd does present a little bit more of a challenge to Harrison, and Larissa Pacheco's back too. But yeah, I mean, tonight, we're just looking at tonight. Kayla Harrison's going to have no problems against Marina tonight, but that's your main event. Also, Ray Cooper III is back. The defending 170-pound champion's back. He's taking on Carlos Leal on short notice. Anthony Pettis is fighting Miles Price. Rory McDonald's fighting Brett Cooper. Magomed Karamov's back, taking on a tough opponent as well. Jenna Fabian, Julia Budd's another very good fight. I mean, just some really good fights on this PFL card this weekend. Really excited to get into it, folks. But first, make sure that subscribe button down below for some more MMA here on the channel. We posted our UFC predictions yesterday, Bellator earlier today as well. So 3 MMA videos on the channel this week. Go make sure to check out all of them as we now get into this PFL Week 3 full card preview and predictions. Well, let's be honest, not expecting much off the opener. We've got Vanessa Mella taking on Martina Jindrova. Jindrova is coming off the split decision win over on the Challenger Series where she fought a fighter who's 2-0. She won. Before that, she lost 2 straight fights. And welcome to the PFL. And welcome to the PFL's, not bantamweight, lightweight division. I don't know why this isn't featherweight yet, but it's still a lightweight. Okay, Jindrova wins by split decision. She barely gets her way into the PFL. She's, only beat one fighter in her entire career that has 2 wins or doesn't have a losing record, which is her last win by split decision. Vanessa Mella, let's be real, isn't great, but I still think she's decent enough to the point where she can beat Jindrova. She went 1-3 in the UFC. The win that does stand out, I guess, the Sarah Morris win, which isn't great when your claim to fame's a win over Sarah Morris, but that's what Vanessa Mella's got right now. I think she'll be able to beat Jindrova. I mean, she's not UFC caliber fighter, but she's a fighter that's been at the UFC level before. Go on Vanessa Mella to beat Jindrova by unanimous decision. I just think she's better on the feet, better on the ground. Yeah, go on Vanessa Mella. Why is Olena still in the PFL? She hasn't won a fight since 2017. The PFL lightweight division is so confusing. Like, please, can we get this down to 145? Women's lightweight really isn't a division. Vanessa Mella fought at bantamweight in the UFC, and she's fighting at lightweight here. Julia Budd's a 145-pounder fighting at 155. Anyways, Olena Kolesnik taking on Abby Montez. Again, Olena is on a 4-fight losing streak. She hasn't won since 2017. She does not have a win over a fighter that has a win in her MMA career yet. She lost to Pam Sorensen in Invicta, loses to Felicia Spencer in Invicta, loses to Taylor Gordano by unanimous decision. By the way, where is Taylor Gordano? Why is she not on this anymore? She wasn't great, but still, she's better than some of these fighters. She loses to Larissa Pacheco to Olena. She's 0-4 in her last 4 fights. Abby Montez is not a world beater in any stretch of the imagination. Abby Montez is not great. She barely gets by Clarissa Shields, who has no MMA experience, but she wins the fight by split decision. It should not have been split. I thought Montez won that one pretty convincingly. Abby Montez isn't great, but she's better than Olena. She'll win the fight by unanimous decision. I'm not expecting much at all. I think Kolesnik is very bad, let's be real. She's probably the worst they have right now at 155. They've kind of gifted Abby Montez a victory here. Abby Montez rides the wave of success she found in the Clarissa Shields fight. She beats Kolesnik by unanimous decision. So Gleibson Tibau's back in the PFL. He won his last 2 fights in the PFL season last year. I mean, he somehow beats Rory McDonald by split decision, that absolutely horrendous decision, but he beats Rory and then he wins his second fight. He wasn't in the playoffs, he wins by arm triangle choke in his third fight, with the PFL last season. He's taking on Gerard Al-Sawali in this one, and Sawali's gonna melt this guy. Like, I know Gleibson Tibau had a nice comeback run in the PFL last year, and he does have a win over Will Brooks back in 2019 too. Still, though, I mean, Gerard Al-Sawali's going to come in here. He's going to melt this guy. Sawali's one of these guys, one of the few guys that the PFL got off the Challenger Series, and now they didn't match him up against the highest level opponent at all, and Michael Lilly. That guy wasn't very great, but Gerard Al-Sawali was one of the guys that they got from the Challenger Series that was like a real credible guy who had a lot of wins in Brave and all of that. I mean, he's the former Brave super welterweight champion, which is the 175 weight class. He fought at 185 and Brave as well, and he was the welterweight champion too. I mean, again, Al-Sawali is one of the guys who's really credible from the Challenger Series, and he's gonna dust Gleibson Tibau. At this point in Tibau's career, I don't think he can really stand with Al-Sawali. He's 38 years old. Sawali is gonna show he's the new gun in this one. He's 29 years old. He's gonna pick up a quick 6, I think, honestly, in this one. Yeah, Al-Sawali gets in there, puts away Gleibson Tibau, first round KO. I guess he does for Rory McDonald. I don't know. Gleibson Tibau, though, is gonna lose by first round knockout. So Larissa Pacheco's back, and if you know her opponent, like, okay, you're the most hardcore MMA fan of all time. Zhamagul Fazlanova. Who is this? Who is this fighter? She has one win in her entire career over her opponent that has a winning record, and it was 2-0. And it's Liana Jojua, actually. I mean, my goodness. Okay, she does have one over Liana Jojua. Still, though, who is this? She has one fight in the last 4 years. And now, welcome to PFL. And by the way, that one win in the last 4 years is against a fighter who was making their pro debut. Larissa Pacheco isn't great, but she's an actual credible fighter. I mean, Pacheco was in the UFC, and she's done okay for herself in PFL. I mean, her only losses in the PFL are to Kayla Harrison. Larissa Pacheco's got power, like that's unheard of from a women's fighter, really, on the feet. Pacheco can hit hard, and I think she's going to fold her opponent pretty quickly in this one. This is a fight set up for Larissa Pacheco to win, obviously. She's supposed to fight Taylor Gordano, obviously back at the semifinals last year in the playoffs. She doesn't make weight, so she doesn't get to fight Gordano, and then Gordano is the one that obviously takes the beat down from Harrison in the finals. But Pacheco was probably on her way to get that third fight against Kayla Harrison. It didn't happen. She's on her way to get that again this year because she was the number 1 seed technically going into the PFL playoffs last year with 2 quick 6 finishes in the regular season. I think she's going to get yet another. Larissa Pacheco wins this one by first round TKO stoppage. Rematch time between Sada Busi and Nikolai Aleksahin. You look at the first fight, the Swedish Denzel Washington's winning that fight before the eye poke. I mean, Sada Busi's winning that fight. And I'm surprised to see he's an underdog in this one, at least on Tapology he's the underdog. He was the underdog coming into the first Aleksahin fight. He's winning that fight before the eye poke, and then Aleksahin just doesn't want to continue. I think Sada Busi's going to win this one again. I mean, he was well on his way to winning that first fight. I know it was just the first round, but he's winning the second too. He beats Kunchenko in his second fight in the PFL season last year, and then he runs into Magomed Karamov in the playoffs. But yeah, I think Sada Busi's winning this one. I mean, honestly, I just think he's just going to follow the same game plan from the first fight. You know, C's got a pretty good stand-up game. He's a pretty good striker. He's just been a guy that's been around for the PFL for a while. For Nikolai, obviously, after the C fight, he loses to Ray Cooper III and then doesn't fight again in PFL, obviously last season, because he did get eliminated with the loss to Cooper by unanimous decision. I think C's going to be on his way to beat him again. I don't think the eye poke happens this time. I think, good matchmaking on the PFL is in, matching these two guys up again. Taking Sada Busi, though, to finally get his win over Aleksahin here, going with C by unanimous decision. So does the second fight in the PFL Smart Cage for the former Bellator featherweight champion in Julia Budd. Now she's back at 155. Obviously, she came in to the finals, the final PFL card last year, beating Caitlin Young by unanimous decision. And yeah, Budd's only loss in the last couple of years has been to Chris Cyborg. Before that, you got to go back all the way to 2011, where she loses to Ronda Rousey in 30 seconds. So her losses are Amanda Nunes, Ronda Rousey, and Chris Cyborg now, which is a very good 3 fighters to lose to. I mean, she's basically lost to, is Rousey in the top 3 greatest of all time women's fighters? Probably not, but Cyborg and Nunes definitely are 1 and 2, I think. So I guess Valentina maybe, but still, Julia Budd's probably the best. She's got wins over Arlene Blenko twice, and she beat Danya Silva in her last fight in the Bellator cage. She's pretty good. And in this fight against Jenna Fabian, Fabian's still kind of raw for a fighter. I mean, I know she's got the fights in PFL. She was in the 2019 season, and she was in the 2021 season as well. She goes 1-1 in the first one in 2019, and then she goes 2-1 in 2021. She ran to Kayla Harrison in the playoffs. Obviously, she got finished in the first round. Fabian's grappling isn't great, and if Julia Budd is going to, I mean, if there's a clear, if there is a clear bad spot in Jenna Fabian's game, it is on the ground, but Julia Budd's a striker, so she'll probably keep this one on the feet. I mean, she might take her down, honestly, and just work her ground and pound, which is entirely possible. I just think all around Julia Budd's better than Fabian. I think she is the clear number 2 right now in this division. I think this is the fight PFL is setting up for in the finals. It is Budd and it is Harrison, and I think Julia Budd will get there, and this is just the start to that. I think she will beat Jenna Fabian. I think she will get it on my decision, and I think this is all kind of pointing to a Julia Budd and Larissa Pacheco semifinals, probably the way this is looking, because I think Pacheco will get a quick 6. I don't think Budd's gonna be able to finish Fabian. She might late in the fight, but Jenna Fabian is a decent striker. She should be able to keep her distance. Obviously she's 6 feet tall. She's a very big woman. Budd's 5'8", but so I mean that's something that you gotta think about. Fabian trying to keep her distance. She does have power too, Jenna Fabian does, but I think Julia Budd is the better striker. But I do think Jenna Fabian is going to be able to go those full 15 minutes. I do like Julia Budd to edge out this decision victory. We'll see where she goes from here, but yeah, I do like Julia Budd by decision. Maybe they probably will. They'll throw her either Elena or they'll throw her. They'll probably throw her Elena in her next fight, or the fighter that's fighting Pacheco this week, Zamagul. Sorry, whatever the hell her name is. They'll probably throw Budd one of those 2 next, but for now, Julia Budd beats Jenna Fabian by unanimous decision. So I believe starting off the main card, we have got Magomed Karamov taking on Joao Zeferino. For Zeferino, obviously coming off of those fights in PFL last year, he fought twice against Gleibson Tibau and then Jason Ponnet, and then he was going to get the fight against Magomed Karamov, but then he had to pull out in the playoffs. We never ended up getting that fight. Instead, Magomed Karamov took on Sadibou, winning that one by unanimous decision for Magomed Karamov, and he goes to the finals. He takes on Ray Cooper III, and he loses in the third round. Ray Cooper gets him with a big overhand right in the third round, puts him down, and he eventually finishes him on the ground. A huge upset. A lot of people thought Magomed Karamov was going to win for good reason, because to that point, he was pretty dominant in PFL. I mean, hell, he got back-to-back wins over Chris Curtis back in 2019. He beat Chris Millender earlier in the season. In 2021, he beat Ray Cooper III back in 2018, winning the championship. I mean, Magomed Karamov's a very good fighter, and he was undefeated in PFL until the Ray Cooper fight. And Ray Cooper obviously got him with a big overhand right, putting him away. He's on that path back to that championship spot, though. I think Magomed Karamov, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how the PFL 170 weight class goes this year, especially with Ray Cooper and Rory McDonald and Magomed Karamov, who I do believe, I think everyone thinks are the top three favorites. And maybe Sadibou, if he can take down Alexin in his fight tonight as well. But yeah, Magomed Karamov should be able to win, but Zeffirino is good on the ground too, which is, it makes up for a very interesting stylistic matchup that we were going to get in the playoffs last year in August. With it is, the ground game of Zeffirino and how he can threaten off his back if Magomed Karamov does choose to take him down, which, that's how Magomed Karamov usually does win his fights. But Magomed Karamov's striking game, I think, is better than Zeffirino. And on the ground, as long as he can stay out of that submission, so Zeffirino will throw up, he should be able to win. I do think it's interesting, and I think it's a closer fight than people do anticipate, especially on the odds. But I do like the former PFL champion and Magomed Karamov to go back to his quest to reclaim his championship, go on Magomed Karamov to beat Joao Zeffirino by unanimous decision. So yeah, I think Rory McDonald's like the biggest lock in this entire card, other than the main event with Kayla Harrison. Like, he's not gonna have any problems with Brett Cooper here. He shouldn't at least have any problems with Brett Cooper. I think really the only drama is if can Rory McDonald get a finish or not. But I mean, we look at McDonald, technically is 1-2 in not Bellator, I keep saying Bellator. He's 1-2 in PFL. He comes in, he beats Chris Millender with the quick 6 rear naked choke finish in his first fight in the PFL cage, and he loses to Gleibson Tibau in an absolute bullcrap fight. He wins it 100%, but they give the decision to Tibau because they wanted Rory McDonald versus Ray Cooper III in the semifinals. Ray Cooper III, beats him by unanimous decision in the main event. And now the rest is history. McDonald is back. The Red King is taking on Brett Cooper. This fight is not tough at all for Rory McDonald. He's going to run straight through Brett Cooper. Again, my only thing is, will it be by submission? Will it be by knockout? Or will it be by decision? I could see a world where he goes in there, takes down Cooper and submits him. I could 100% see that. I could see a world where McDonald tags him, even though McDonald doesn't got the most power at this point of his career, but still, I think there's definitely a chance he could go in there and knock out Cooper, and I can definitely see him just outpacing Cooper for 15 minutes, which I think is the most likely scenario, but I could see a world again where the other two happen. We'll go safe pick here. The Red King wins. He returns the PFL Smart Cage, making himself 2-2 now in PFL by beating Brett Cooper by unanimous decision. Pretty dominant, 30-26, 30-26, maybe even see a 30-25. I think it's going to be all Red King in this fight, though. So can Showtime Pettis finally pick up a win in the PFL? I think this has got to be his time, right? I mean, it feels like the Myles Price fight is set up for him to win, right? Okay. I mean, they push this fight back to this card. Like, I don't think Pettis is losing to Myles Price, even though Myles Price's last win is over Peter Queally, who just fought for the Bellator lightweight championship, which is a thing, but I don't think Pettis loses, right? I don't think he can lose again. I mean, the guy hasn't won in a while. He comes in, even though he probably beat Manny Fo in his last fight. Still, though, he loses to Clay Collard, and he beats Alex Morono sure in his last fight in the UFC, which is not a bad one. Alex Morono since beat Cowboy and beat Mickey Gall. He is 0-2 in the PFL. I think this is finally, though, the time that Anthony Showtime Pettis picks up a win in the Smart Cage, right? Myles Price has not fought since 2019. Before that, he loses to Norman Park. It was just weird. He came in, he beat Peter Queally by split decision. I believe he was on the main card in that card in Ireland for Bellator. Actually, no, I think it was on the other card, but still, he's like a plus 310 favorite. He comes in there, he wins the fight. He hasn't been seen since. He was scheduled for Bellator London in 2019, and then he was scheduled for, of course, the Pettis fight earlier in the PFL season. It's been booked now to been pushed back to this date in the lightweight division. Showtime, I think, should win. I really think he should win. I mean, Price has got a salty-ass record. He's 11-7. I mean, he started his career 7-1, and now he's 11-7, which is not great at all. I think Pettis should be able to get to him. Price is solid on the feet, and he's got a good chin, so I don't think Pettis is going to be able to put him away. Price has never been finished on the feet in his career. He's been finished 3 times on the ground, but those do come at sort of the beginning of his career. I like Anthony Showtime Pettis to win. At least I hope he finally gets a win here in PFL. I think he gets it done by unanimous decision. I think he's a better striker than Myles Price. Again, I think it's going to be tough for him to put Price away because Price's chin's good, but going Showtime to finally get on the board here in the PFL, he's going to pick up 3 points by beating Myles Price by unanimous decision. Really like this fight on short notice. It's the reigning welterweight champion here in the PFL in Ray Cooper III, and he's taking on Carlos Leal. Leal went 2-0 in the PFL Challenger Series, winning his first fight by KO in the first round in 50 seconds, and they had that war against Chris Brown, his second fight in the PFL Challenger Series, winning that fight by split decision. Now, I thought Brown won rewatching that fight, but it goes either way. I mean, PFL didn't sign Leal after that fight, but now he's finally getting the shot against Ray Cooper III. They throw him right in there with the best fighter. They've got it at 170. Ray Cooper obviously went on that big run in 2021. Winning 4 straight fights, obviously the latter 2 being the most impressive. The win over Rory McDonald, the win over Magomed Karamov with a big knockout finish in the 3rd round. PFL is saying Ray Cooper III is the best welterweight in the world. Is he that? Probably not, but still, Ray Cooper III is very good. His striking is very good. It's some of the best you're going to get, honestly, at 170. It's the best you're going to get here in the PFL, especially at 170. For Carlos Leal, obviously, right? He's going to the feet as well. He's going to throw like he threw down with Chris Brown. He's going to go out. He's going to blitz early like he did in his first fight in the Challenger Series. So, I mean, I think Cooper should be able to avoid that early, though. And Ray Cooper should be able to settle down. He should be able to win this fight. I think Cooper's going to be able to win by first round knockout. I think he's going to, because I just think Leal's going to open himself up to getting hit early in this fight. And when he does that, Ray Cooper III is going to be able to pick his spots. Ray Cooper III is going to be able to land heavy on him. So that's why I'm going to pick Cooper III by knockout in the first round, picking up those quick 6 points. I think it's going to be a barn burner for as long as it does last, considering Leal, again, taking this one on short notice. He's only got a week to prepare for this one. He's going to go for it early in this fight. If he does not get it early in this fight, he's going to tire out and he's going to lose either in the first or in the second, because Cooper III is probably going to put him away. So I think you're going to just see Leal just sell out in the first 3 minutes and try to knock out Ray Cooper III if he can't. Like I do anticipate, I think Ray Cooper III is going to be able to win this one by knockout. I say late first round, Ray Cooper III wins, picks up the quick 6 against Carlos Leal on short notice. So it is main event time. It is lightweight champion, obviously, in Kayla Harrison. She's taking on Marina Mokatsina. Kayla Harrison, first round submission, fight over. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. Mokatsina is a fighter that lost to Liana Jojua for the Fight Nights Global Bantamweight Championship by majority decision back in 2018. She took on Janae Harding after that, lost by unanimous decision. She beat Amanda Bell in her second fight in Bellator, and then won her first fight in PFL last year on the playoff edition of PFL in 2021. Kayla Harrison, though, is just not going to lose. Like, even if she gets Julia Budd, I don't think she's going to lose. You got to get her to fight Chris Cyborg. You got to get her in the UFC and fight Norma Dumont, the likes of those fighters. But again, we said it earlier in the start, Kayla Harrison's here in PFL for a reason. She's going to keep making $1 million every year. It's that simple. Her judo is just so much better than everyone else. She's going to be able to take down every other fighter in this weight class because it's a weight class made for her, 155, even though she can make 145, and she's shown in the past that she can make featherweight, but they insist on keeping this at lightweight. Kayla Harrison's going to win. I mean, I make the case that you do 2 PFL divisions for the women. You do 145 and 155 and let Harrison compete in both of them and just rack up all the money and rack up all the wins. Kayla Harrison's going to beat Mokatsina in this one. Yeah, Kayla Harrison by any way she wants it. It's either ground and pound or by submission. I think Kayla Harrison's going to get the sub in this one. It's just, it's a toss-up. It's either submission or knockout in the first round or TKO, whatever. I'm going Kayla Harrison by submission. I just think she's so much better than her opponents, and she'll be so much better than every single one of her opponents she's going to see this season. She'll probably win this one, and they'll probably book her against like Abby Montez next because Montez is going to win. They'll say, oh, undefeated versus undefeated. Oh, they've got a combined record of 17-0. Let's see what happens. And Kayla Harrison's going to scorch her in 2 minutes. But I mean, you know what you're getting out of Kayla Harrison. She's a big star, don't get me wrong. This fight is no problem for her. Kayla Harrison, first round submission, and still undefeated. So folks, thank you all for watching our PFL Week 3 preview predictions video here. Again, it's going to be the final PFL video for a little bit because, of course, they're taking the break until June, where they're going to be back in Atlanta. Right now, they're in Arlington, Texas, but June 17th is the next PFL card after this, where you got 3 more weeks of regular season action, and then, of course, you got the playoffs after that in August. So be on the lookout for that, folks. We'll be back with PFL in June in just a month's time. So thank you all for watching the first 3 weeks here of PFL action. We'll be back again in a month. So folks, thank you for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more action. Make sure you leave a like if you did enjoy the video. And thank you for watching, and Mamba forever.